Good afternoon. I'm very thankful to the organizers who has given me this opportunity to speak on the topic of first aid of vasculometabolic care. So first aid, what you want to mean is first aid. First aid is very important. Whenever there is any problem, first aid is very problem. So empagliflozin and metformin is a first aid for management of type 2 diabetic patient. So when we have given this first aid to our patient, their sugars are controlled. They are prevented from cardiac problems. They are prevented from renal problems. They are prevented from strokes. There is chances of decrease in mortality. So what I want to say in my lecture is this is a first aid of vasculometabolic care. So I start with this case. Generally, this is a young patient, 36-year-old male patient who is having diabetic with dyslipidemia, high BMI. His A1C is high. His liver function and kidney function is normal. He is having grade 1 fatty liver disease and he is having silent myocardial ischemia. So he is having problems. So generally, if you see in our Indian scenario, you are seeing that at a young age we are getting diabetes. At the age of 25 to 34 years, we are picking up now type 2 diabetic patient. If you see scenario like Tamil Nadu, Chandigarh, more at 25 years of age, rural like Jharkhand, slightly lesser, and Maharashtra. So we are picking up patient at a younger age, 25 to 34. So whenever you are diagnosing a new diabetic patient, state of excess calorie imbalance should be taken care. So if there is a patient is eating more, positive calorie balance is there, there will be more liver fat will be there will be increase in VLDL which go leading to increased isolate cell triglyceride level, there will be decreased insulin response leading to increased postprandial sugar levels. Once we are having isocaloric balance after substantial weight loss, we are having normal liver fat, decreased VLDL, decreased isolate cell triglyceride, normal insulin response to ingested glucose is there, leading to normal sugar levels. So this is a thin Indian phenotype. So what Indians are, they are diagnosed at a young age, they are having lesser obesity but higher adiposity, high central obesity, more insulin resistance, and they are greater cardiometabolic risk. We all know macrovascular disease began before the onset of pre-diabetes only, and generally microvascular complications occurs once we have diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. This is a good slide which is showing is risk of subclinical atherosclerosis start rising in pre-diabetics. Even in the lower A1C levels, we are seeing that the coronary artery calcium scoring is increases, carotid artery calcium scoring is increasing, and it rapidly increases once A1C become more than 5.7. So this is a nurse's health study. It shows is 3.6-fold increase in the risk of MI or stroke before onset of type 2 diabetes. Even before 10 years, the diagnosis there is a 3.6% increase. Markers of subclinical heart failure start increasing from pre-diabetic stage. So that's why we need first aid. We need good drugs to start initially only. This is a very good Indian study. What they have told is type 2 diagnosed patient in India, 39.5% were classified as high risk and 60.5% were classified as very high risk. So from diagnosis only we are having cardiovascular risk. So we should be very careful and when we are starting a treatment in a newly diagnosed patient. We all know we are all approaching this holistic approach to cardiorenal metabolic care in early type 2 diabetic. Lifestyle management constitute very important. Physical activity, diet management, cessation of smoking. Essential treatment is we have to take care of lipid, glycemic control, blood pressure and weight management. Essential treatment for organ protection is very important. Either we are using SGLT2 inhibitor, GLP-1 receptor agonist, RAS blocker or NSAMRA. So vasculometabolic, first aid in newly diagnosed type 2 diabetes. We have to take care of adiposity, insulin resistance. We have to break the dysglycemia. We have to prevent failing myocardium, ischemic cardiovascular disease. We have to take care of our retina, kidney, blood pressure and tachycardia. So if we are using metformin, as I have told you, we are using metformin with empagliflozin as an initial combination. It produces more A1C reduction as compared to metformin alone. In my slide, if you will see, if metformin 1000 milligram was initiated, A1C reduction is less as compared to when empagliflozin 5 milligram and metformin 500 milligram was initiated. Empagliflozin versus sitagliptin. A1C reduction is better with empagliflozin as compared to sitagliptin. Time in range, it is very important. Generally, we want to keep patient in between 70 to 180. If we see with the placebo, there is not improvement. Even we are using empagliflozin 10 milligram or 25 milligram, we see 81% of our patient come in time in range within 28 days, and even on day one, large number of our patient come in time in range. So empagliflozin rapidly clears glucometabolic toxicity and improve beta cell function. Even in day 2, there is a reduction of blood sugar from fasting 195 to 25. On day 14, there is a 38 milligram per DL reduction. C-peptide response improved, beta cell function improved, and beta cell sensitivity has been improved. Beta cell, because empagliflozin, beta cell independent mechanism of action facilitate long-term durability of glycemic control with empagliflozin and metformin. Generally, metformin keep blood sugar level for 5 years, but empagliflozin can make A1C neutrality between 6 to 8 years, and sulfonylurea and DPP-4 inhibitor from 3.3 to 4.4 years. If you use metformin with empagliflozin, there is a more weight reduction as compared to glimepiride and metformin. Empagliflozin reduces hepatic fat content, 4% greater reduction, and 18% of patients with empagliflozin grew normal liver fat content. Empagliflozin reduces liver fat content as compared to sitagliptin. Empagliflozin use improves insulin sensitivity in people with type 2 diabetes and higher insulin resistance. You will see there is a reduction in HOMA index. You will see that there is a reduction in fasting insulin level. You will see there is a reduction in remnant like cholesterol. Empagliflozin also help in BP control, and it is also effective whenever there is a slight resistant hypertension is there. There is a reduction in systolic blood pressure. It reduces the chances of stroke. Empagliflozin offers early risk reduction for cardiovascular death in patients with type 2 diabetes and atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease, and Asian patient subgroup 50 more reduction as compared to overall population. Empagliflozin reduces risk of first and recurrent cardiovascular event. In patient with type 2 diabetes and atherosclerosis, there is a 21% risk reduction of myocardial infarction events with empagliflozin versus placebo. In this EMPA-REG outcome study, first demonstrate an improvement in kidney outcome with SGLT2 inhibitor in patient with type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease. So there is a prevention of incidence of worsening nephropathy, there is a reduction in progression of macroalbuminuria, and there is a prevention of doubling of serum creatinine level. Empagliflozin use result in lower odds of experience rapid decline in kidney function. Empagliflozin facilitate regression of albuminuria in patient with type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease with prior albuminuria. Patient with prior albuminuria, there is a 43% increase likelihood with empagliflozin to convert from microalbuminuria to normal albuminuria, 82% increase likelihood from regression from prior macroalbuminuria to normal albuminuria or microalbuminuria. These are the additional non-glycemic benefit on top of standard of the care. If 100 patients with empagliflozin are using empagliflozin, 100 patients are using empagliflozin for 3 years, so what you will see, 9.8%, 9.8 people will have less cardiovascular event, 8.5 decrease CKD events, 3.4% are saved from acute renal failure. 12.9 insulin requirement is prevented. 5.1 additional systolic blood pressure goals are achieved. 5.5 having less chances of obstructive sleep apnea, and 3.4 total additional life year gains. So these are the additional benefit. In patient with type 2 diabetes and atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease, only empagliflozin has proven significant 38% reduction for cardiovascular death. If you compare with other SGLT2 inhibitor, this is a very important point. So if you see in this study, in EMPA-REG outcome study, what you see is major adverse cardiovascular events are reduced, and cardiovascular death and all-cause mortality are reduced only in the empagliflozin, which is not there in CANVAS program, DECLARE TIMI trial or VERTIS trial. Other factors of SGLT2 inhibitor like hospitalization for heart failure, chronic kidney diseases are there in another group, but cardiovascular death and all-cause mortality is mainly by empagliflozin. So empagliflozin demonstrates lower risk of end-stage kidney disease, cardiovascular death or heart failure, and all-cause mortality, and similar risk of MI and stroke when compared with GLP-1 receptor agonist. So when we are comparing with GLP-1 receptor agonist, it is slightly better. Empagliflozin demonstrates consistent safety profile in patient with type 2 diabetes and CKD. So edema in CKD patient is 56% lower, hyperkalemia in CKD patient in 52% there are lower risk. So if I think everybody knows this algorithm, management of type 2 diabetes by ADN 2024, healthy lifestyle and monitoring of the sugars are very important constituent. When our goal is to treat type 2 diabetes and the patient are having high risk or atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease, first line of the treatment can be GLP-1 receptor agonist or SGLT2 if there is an atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease. If there is a heart failure, then SGLT2 inhibitor we can add after metformin. If CKD is there, we can add after metformin SGLT2 inhibitor, but GLP-1 agonist we can also help. But if the goal is sugar control and weight management, yes, GLP-1 receptor agonists are also good, but we can use SGLT2 inhibitor also. Still, if the weight is not maintained, we can go for metabolic surgery. So we all know SGLT2 inhibitor, they are having moderate sugar control, they are having cardiovascular benefit is there. So principle of ACE, comprehensive type 2 diabetic management, lifestyle modification, maintained to achieve optimal weight, choice of anti-hyperglycemic therapy reflecting glycemic control, choice of therapy which should be very easy, optimal A1C control should be 6.5 or according to the patient, individualize all glycemic targets. We should control fasting, PP, A1C, time in range and CGMS. If we can get to goal as soon as possible, within 3 years we should reach the goal, avoid hypoglycemia. CGM is highly recommended to assist patient in receiving goal safely, and comorbidities must be managed for comprehensive care. This is the same. So again going to the same of my patient, a young 36-year-old patient recently diagnosed with dyslipidemia with silent myocardial infarction. So what should be the treatment? So relevance of empagliflozin and metformin combination for this patient. In early type 2 diabetic patient, initiation of empagliflozin with metformin can be relevant in effective glycemic control, low risk of hypoglycemia, improved time in range, weight loss, inducing reduction in dysfunctional ectopic fat, improving in insulin sensitivity and beta cell function, sustained reduction in blood pressure, reducing risk of major adverse cardiovascular event and cardiovascular death, improvement in heart failure outcomes in broad group of eligible patients, improvement in kidney outcome. So optimal clinical consideration of risk benefit for each anti-diabetic therapy in principle of individualized approach for every patient. Thank you.